Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste. Namaste, everyone. On page 131, we'll begin with verse number 21. Mata Pramata Pramada Sudas Hindu Nivasini Atimata Mahamata Sarva Karshana Karini Gita Priya Vajrata Pretan Ritya Parayana Chaturbuja Dashabuja Ashna Dashabuja Tatam Katyayani Jaganmata Jagatam Parmeshwari Jagabandhur Jagadatri Jagadanandakarini Jagajiva Mani Hema Bhati Maya Mahamahi Nagayagyo Pavitangi Nagini Nagashagini Nagakanya Devakanya Gandhavi Kinareshwari Moharatrir Maharatrir Daruna Basvaraturi Vidyadari Vasumati Yakshini Yogini Jara Rakshasi Dakini Veda Mayi Veda Vibhushana Sruti Smriti Mahavidya Gudya Vidya Paratani Chidya Chidya Svada Swaha Nidra Tandra Chaparvati Aparna Nishtala Lola Sarva Vidya Tapasvini Ganga Kashi Sati Sita Sati Satya Parayana Nidhi Suniti Suruchish Tushti Pushtir Driti Kshama Bani Budir Mahalakshmir Lakshmir Nila Saraswati Shrotaswati Saraswati Matangi Vijaya Jaya Nadi Sindhu Sarvamayi Tarasunya Nivasini Shuddhatarangini Medha Lakini Bhagarupini Stula Sukshma Suksmatara Bhagavatyanu Radini Paramananda Rupacha Chidananda Swarupini Sarvananda Mahinitya Sarvananda Swarupini Shuddha Nandini Sutya Stavini Yasvabhavini Ramkini Bhaktini Chitra Vichitra Chitrarupini Padma Padmalaya Padma Mukhi Padma Vibhushana Hakini Sakini Santa Rakini Rudira Priya Bhaktir Babani Rudrani Midrani Satyamadini Upendrani Mahendrani Jyotsna Chandra Sarupini Suryatmika Rudrapatni Rodri Stri Prakriti Muman Sakti Sutir Matir Mata Bhukti Mukti Prati Prata Sarveshwari Sarvamata Sarvani Haraballabha Sarvagya Siddhita Siddha Bhavya 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 Kartri Hartri Palvagitri Sabri Tamasi Doya Tamishra Tamasi Shtanu Stira Dira Tapasvini Charvangi Chanchala Lola Jihwa Charu Charitrini Trapa Trapavati Laja Vilaja Hri Rajovati Saraswati Dhanamishta Sreshta Nishtur Nadini Purishta Dusta Samartri Vishishra Sri Sidrina Bhima Boyadaka Bhima Nadini Bhi Prabhavati Padishwari Sri Yamuna Yajikatri Gajupriya Riksamatar Vanilaya Ragini Shubhanaswara Kalakanti Kambukanti Vinu Vina Parayanam Vamsini Vaishnavi Swacha Daritri Jagadishwari Madhumati Kundalini Riddhi Siddhi Sutishmita Rambhurvasi Rati Roma Rohini Rivati Mata Shambhini Chakrini Krishna Golini Padini Tata Sudini Parikastatra Pathini Shangapadini Pinakadarini Dumra Sharabi Panamalini Ratini Samaraprita Dedini Rana Pandita Drotini Patini Loila Lavanya Buddhi Chandrika Bali Priya Santa Puja Purandutin Ramatini Mahishasura Sanatri Kamini Ratadantika Rataparidi Ratamli Ratakarpaharastini Ratapriya Mamsaruchir Asavastaktamanasa Kalachani Tamundali Kantamala Vibhushana Shavasana Shintastasta Maheshi Vrishabhakini Yagam Parachina Chailini Singhabhagini Mama Devi Mahadevi Gauri Sadvadya Pavini Balika Turini Vrida Vridamata Jaratura Shubhru Vilasini Brahma Badini Brahmani Mati Swatavati Chitraleka Lopa Mudra Sureshwari Amoga Rudati Tikshna Bhogavyatyanuragini Mandakini Mandahasa Jwalamukya Surantaka Manada Manani Manya Mananiya Mandatura Madira Miru Romada Midya Sadhya Prasadini Sumadya Mantagunini Saralokotamotama Jayada Chiparajitri Jaya Sri Jaya Salini Shubhada Sujada Satya Shubhamshan Shubhakarini Sivaduti Bhuti Mati Vibhutir Vishanamana Homari Kulajakuti Kulastri Kulapalika Kirtir Yashasvini Bushra Bushra Bhutta Pripati Priya Saguna Nirguna Trishna Nishta Kashta Patishtita Donishtra Dhanadadanya Vasuda Suprakashini Urvi Gurvi Guru Sreshta Sadguna Trigunatmika Ragya Magya Maha Pragya Saguna Nirgunatmika Mahakulina Nishkama Sakama Kavajivani Kamadeva Kalarama Virama Sivanataki Chintamani Kapalada Jagrati Dinavatsala Kartiki Kritika Kritya Ayodhya Vishamasrama Sumatra Mantini Purna Haladini Kvaisanasini Trilokya Janani Jeshta Mimamsa Matrupini Tagana Nipta Jatara Shushkamanskasti Malini Avanti Mathura Hridaya Trilokya Bhavinakshama Vyata Vyata Tika Murti Sharvini Manadini Shimantari Shankari Cha Sarva Samohakarini Vidvate Jasvini Klina Mahati Jasvini Tata Advaitya Bhogini Puja Yuvati Sarva Mangala Sarva Priyankari Bhogya Darini Pishitasana Boyankari Papahara Nishkalanka Vashankari Asha Krishna Chandrakala Indrani Vayudevini Sahasra Surya Sankasha Chandakoti Samaprabha Nishama Sumba Sangamtri Ratabija Vinasini Madhukoitabaham Precha Mohisa Suragatini Vani Mandala Madhyasta Sarva Sattva Pratishtita Sarva Charavati Sarva Devakanyami Devata Dakshikanya Dakshiyagya Nasini Durgatarini Ijya Puja Vidu Bhuti Sakirti Brahmarupini Ramburdrusta Turakara Jayanti Karunakuhu Manasvini Deva Mata Yashashya Brahmacharini Siddhida Vidida Vidhi Sarvadya Sarvadayini Agadrupini Jaya Muladhara Vivasini Agya Pragya Purnamanas Chandramukya Nukulini Bhavaduka Nindanabi Satya Sandra Virabrata Anvikshiki Dandanitis Traiti Divasundari Jwalini Jwalini Thailam Tanaya Vidyabhasini Pragyaya Kechari Durga Turiya Vimalatura Bhagava Varani Chaya Shashini Dispuhingini Bhakti Siddhi Sada Priti Prakanya Mahimanima Icha Siddhi Vishitvacha Ishitva Udva Vivasini Lagimache Bhakayatri Savitri Bhuvaneshwari Manohara Chitta Divya Devyudara Norama Pingala Kapila Jihwa Rasanya Rasikarama Shusune Yogavati Gandhari Narkantaka Panchali Rukmini Radha Radhya Brahmacharadhika Amrita Tulasi Vrinda Koitabi Kapateshwari Ugra Chandeshwari Veera Janani Veera Sundari Ugra Tara Deshodakya Devaki Devamanita Niranjana Chitta Devi Krodini Kula Deepika Kula Bhakishwari Dwara Matrika Dravini Drava Yogeshwari Bahamari Brahmari Bindurupini Duti Praneshwari Gupta Bakula Dhari Prabha Kubjika Gyanini Jeshta Pushundi Prakatakriti Dravini Gopini Maya Kama Bijeshwari Priya, Shakambari Kogananda, Susila Chatilotama, Ameya Bikrama Krura, Sapachila Tibikrama, Swasti Vyalaha Prithir, Ushma Durancharamgada, Topini Tapini Vishwa, Bogada Bogadarini, Trikanda Bogini Vashya, Sakala Vishwarupini, Bijarupa Mahamudra, Vasini Yogini Rupini, Ananda Kusamananda, Megalananda Rupini, Ananda Ananda, Rekananda Kutheshwari, Ananda Malini Kama, Ishwari Sarvatartha Sadhika, Sarvatantra Mahimodin, Yaruna Nangarupini, Vajeshwari Chajanani, Sarvaduka Shayamkri, Shadanga Yuvati Yoga, Yukta Jwalam Shumalini, Durashaka, Duradasha, Durgaya Durgarupini, Duranta Dusritiyara, Dudaya Durati Krama, Amseshwari Trikonasta, Shakamaraya Nukambini, Thank you very much. Please let us return to verse number 21 on page 132. Mata, name number 147, she who is the great mind or the great thinker. She who is the foremost mind or thinker. She who is the giver of preeminence. She who resides in the ocean of purity. She who is the extremely great mind. She who is the great, great mind. She who is the cause of all attraction. She who is the beloved of songs. She who is extremely pleased by music. She who is the eternal dance of disembodied spirits when your soul leaps. She who has 4 arms, she who has 10 arms, she who has 18 arms. Boy, is she a handy lady to have around the house. She who is ever pure. She who is the mother of the perceivable universe. She who is the supreme ruler of the perceivable universe. She who is the friend of the perceivable universe. She who creates the perceivable universe. She who is the cause of bliss in the perceivable universe. She who is the manifestation of all life in the universe. She who is born of Himalayas, Parvati. She who is the great measurement of consciousness, Maya. She who is the great expression. She who is the sacred thread on the body of the snake, the adornment of Kundalini. So here's Kundalini rising up, and she's got that sacred thread, and there's 9 threads standing for the 9 qualities which are natural to a Brahman. She who is the snake, she's all the energy. She who rests on snakes, just like Vishnu does. She who is the daughter of the snake. She who is the daughter of the gods. She who sings celestial divine tunes. She's Saraswati too. She who is the supreme ruler of heavenly beings. She who is the night of ignorance. She who is the great night. She who supports all. She whose radiance destroys duality. She who grants great knowledge. She who has wealth. She who gives wealth. She who is always in union. She who is old. She who is the mother of all demons. She who is the female demonic being. Could anyone exist anywhere without Shakti? She is the divine being and she is the demonic being. She who is the expression of wisdom. She who illuminates wisdom. She who is that which has been heard. Shruti. And that's a name for all the Vedas. Because they were heard, they were cognized, they were realized in intuitive cognition. She who is that which is remembered, that's Smriti. And that's another name for a class of all the other literature that came after the Vedas, the Puranas, the Itihas, the Sahitya, all is Smriti. She who is great knowledge, she who is hidden knowledge, she who is the oldest manifested existence, she who is thought, she who is unthinkable, she who is oblations of ancestral praise, Swaha, she who is oblations of I am one with God, Swaha, she who is sleep, she who is partially awake, and she who is daughter of the mountain. She who is without parts, she's indivisible, she's everywhere, so when you look at the whole, she has no part. She who cannot be divided, she who has a protruding tongue, that she used to drink up of the Rakta Bija, all the seeds of all the desires. She who is all knowledge, she who is the performer of purifying austerities. She is the holy river Ganga. She who is Benares, Kashi, the city of light. She who is the wife of Indra, Shachi. She who is the wife of Ram, Sita. She who is the wife of Shiva, Sati. She who always moves in truth. She who is systematized knowledge or method. She who is the excellent systematized knowledge. She's a system of knowledge. She's not ad hoc, unclassified knowledge. She's classified, codified. She's got a Dewey Decimal System to all her knowledge, and you can look it up and find out the system of knowledge. She who is excellent taste. She who is satisfaction. She who is nourishment. She who is consistent solidity. And she's consistent and she's solid and she's reliable and you can trust her. She who is forgiveness. She who is words and all vibrations. She who is intelligence. She who is the great goal of existence. She's Mahalakshmi. And now we see that Lakshmi, Saraswati, and Kali are all one. She is, who is the goal? She is Lakshmi. She is the blue goddess of knowledge, Neel Saraswati. And Neel Saraswati is of the color of the sky because her knowledge is infinite. She who is the spirit of all sound. She who is the personification of one's own ocean of existence. Sarah is an ocean. Swa is your own. T is the personification or the embodiment. Saraswati. Kali is Saraswati. Saraswati is another name for Kali. Lakshmi is another name for Kali. She who is the mother of all bodies. She who is conquest. She who is victory. She who is rivers and oceans. She who is the expression of all. She who is the illuminator. She who resides in silence. Need I say more? She who is purity. She who makes waves. She who is the intellect of love. And that's just a lot different from just the plain old intellect. The intellect of love is more infatuating, more charming because of the love affair that we're having. That knowledge means so much more to us because we're in love with it. She who is manifested energies. She who has many forms. She who is the gross body. she who is subtle, she who is the subtle wave, she who is the female ruler of all, she who is the feeling of emotions. She who is the form of supreme bliss, and she who is the intrinsic nature of the bliss of consciousness. She who is the expression of all bliss, she who is eternal, she who is the intrinsic nature of all bliss, she who is giver of purity, she who is blissful, she who is praise, she who is the intrinsic nature of songs of prayer, she who manifests subtlety, she who is ferocious, she who is artistic, she who has various artistic capacities, she who is the form of all art. She who is a lotus, she who resides in a lotus, she who has a lotus mouth, she who shines like a lotus, she who is the energy of the divine eye, she who is the energy of peace, she who is peace, she who is the energy of subtlety, she who is the beloved of those who cry, she who is confusion, she who is manifested existence, she who is the energy that removes suffering, she who is the rhythm of life, she who is the destroyer of all enmity, she who is the highest energy of the ruler of the pure, she who is the great energy of the ruler of the pure, she who radiates light, she who is the intrinsic nature of the moon of devotion, she who is the soul of the light of wisdom, she who is the wife of Rudra, the reliever of suffering, she who is fierce, she who is the woman of nature or the nature of women, she who is masculine, she who is energy, she who is happiness, she who is the mind, she who is the mother, she who is enjoyment, she who is liberation, she who observes the vow of devotion to her husband, she who is the supreme ruler of all, she who is the mother of all, she who dwells in all, she who is Shiva's strength, she who is knower of all, she who is giver of the attainment of perfection, she who has attained perfection, she who is existence, she who is all attitudes, she who is beyond all fear, she who creates, she who transforms or destroys, she who protects, she who gives rest, she who manifests darkness, she who is compassionate, she who is mixed or mingles, she who manifests darkness, she who is established, she who is still, she who is stationary, she who performs austerities, she whose body is in motion, she who is restless, she who has a protruding tongue, she whose character is to heal, she who saves from fear, she whose spirit saves from fear, she who is modesty, she who is without modesty. She's Digambar, she's clothed in space. She who is humble modesty, she who is the repository of Rajaguna. She who is the personification of one's own ocean, Saraswati, the ocean of knowledge. She who is the strict observance of the ideals of perfection. She who is ultimate, she whose vibration is extremely subtle, she who is always happy to see her devotees. She who dissolves all evil, she who is especially beloved, she who is the ultimate, she who is hatred. And she hates all iniquity. She hates all negativity. She who is terribly fierce, she who is extremely fearful, she who has a fierce roar, she who is fierce, She who is the spirit of illumination, she who is the supreme ruler of all vibrations, she who is respect, she who manifests complete control, she who is the performer of union or sacrifice, she who is the beloved of union or the lover of the Yajurveda. She who resides in the three Vedas, the Rig, Yajur, and Atharva Veda. She who is all rhythm, she who is the supreme ruler of illumination, she who has a dark throat, she whose neck has lines like a conch shell, she who is always playing the Veena instrument, Veena Pani Bhaksaraswati. She for whom all is family, she who pervades the universe, she who desires herself. It's the her within us that desires her. She who holds the three, she who is the supreme ruler of the perceivable universe, she who is the nectar of honey, she who is the manifestation of individual energy, she who is prosperity, she who is the attainment of perfection, she who is the remembrance of the pure. She who is the Apsaras, Ramba, and Urvashi. She's very attractive. She who is extremely beautiful. She who is the luminous light of the heavens. She who is abundance. She who is infinite wealth. She who holds a conch shell. She who holds a discus. She who is dark. She who is the performer of all action. She who holds a club. She who is the lotus. And then she who holds a spear, she who holds the weapon of good actions, she who holds the net, she who holds the bowl named Shanga in her hand. She who holds the spear, she who obscures perception. She whose strength is greater than lions or elephants. She who is the gardener of the forest. That's fun. She who conveys all, she who loves the battle, she who is swift, she who is expert in war, she who has disheveled hair, she who holds the thunder or lightning, she who is the divine drama, she whose beauty radiates the light of knowledge, she who is the beloved of sacrifice, she who is worthy of worship, she who is full, complete, and perfect. She was welcomed by the leader of all Asuras. She was the destroyer of the great ruler of duality. She who is all desires, she who has red teeth, also passion or bloody teeth because she ate all the passion, all the Rakta Bijas. She who protects passion, she whose body is covered with passion. She who bears a cup of passion in her hands. She who loves or is the beloved of passion. She who delights in eating meat and drinking intoxicating spirits. She who wears a garland of heads dripping blood. She who wears a garland upon her neck. She who sits upon a corpse. She who is established in the ultimate consciousness, she who is the greatest seer of all, she who rides upon the bull of determination. She who wears a garment of tiger skin, she who moves with the speed of a deer, she who rides upon a lion, she who is the beloved goddess. She who is a great goddess, she who is rays of light, she who illuminates all wisdom, she who is a young girl, she who is a middle-aged lady, she who is an old lady, she who is the mother of the aged. She who is beyond age, she who has an excellent forehead, she who resides within herself. She who is the vibration of supreme divinity, she who creates divinity, she who is earth, she who is the spirit of dreams, she who is various writings, she who is the manifestation of that which is beyond manifested existence. She who is the supreme ruler of all divinity, she who is always rewarding, she who is the purity of devotion, the epitome of commitment. She who is sharp, she who is the spirit of all enjoyment, she who is the spirit of all feeling, she who organized the mind to optimum efficiency, she whose mind always laughs, she whose face radiates light, she who is the cause of the end of the forces of duality, she who is the giver of discipline, she who creates discipline, she who is discipline, she who is the supreme Lord of discipline, she who is completely intoxicated. Any way you like. Probably with devotion. She who is intoxicated with divine spirit. She who is born of intellect, she who is the performer of all discipline, she who is the prasad, or the consecration of offerings. She who resides in the middle of infinite excellent qualities, all the beings of all the worlds consider her to be greater than the greatest. It's a pretty neat name. Sarvalokotama Uttama. She is the giver of victory, she who grants the boon of victory, she who is victorious over the three, the gross body, the subtle body, the causal body. She who is victorious with respect. By paying attention, she confers victory. She who is the repository of victory, she who is the giver of purity, she who is the giver of happiness or comfort, she who is the manifestation of truth, she who is the cause of purity for the entire community. She for whom Shiva is the ambassador. She who is the expression of all manifested existence, she who is the expression of the expressionless deity, she whose face is free from fear, she who is the manifestation of the ever-pure one, she who is the giver of birth to the family, she who takes away the deficiency of others. She who is the woman of the family, she who is the protector of the family. She who is fame, she who is welfare, she who is the peace of all beings, she who is the cause of peace to all beings, she who is loved by the Lord of all disembodied spirits, she who is with qualities, she who is without qualities, she who is thirst, she who obeys all the rules, she who is the cause of desire, she who establishes. She who is the beloved wealth, she who is the giver of wealth, she who is wealthy, she who supports the earth, she who is excellent illumination, she who is the supreme Lord of circumstances, she who is the supreme Lord of gurus, she who is the ultimate guru, she who is with qualities of truth, she who is with the manifestation of the soul of the three qualities. She who is the wisdom of the order of the king. She who is the great ultimate wisdom. She who is with qualities. She who is the manifestation of the soul of the three qualities. She who is the mother of the great family. She who is without desire. She who is with desire. She who is the life of desire. She who is the attribute of the Lord of desire. She who is the energy of perfection in the subtle body. She who dances with Shiva. She who is the jewel of all thought. She who clings to thought. She who wakes up the universe. She who is the refuge of the downtrodden. Let's pause here and see if there are any questions.
Swamiji, a question from Wendy from New Jersey.
Yes, Wendy, ma, namaste.
Is there a reason why we chant 100 names and then soon after chant 1000? Why not chant the 1100 names? Thank you.
There are two different stotrams acquired from two different scriptures. So the Kali Sahasranam comes from the Kali Purana, and the Shanta comes from a different scripture.
And your question from Nilima Agarwal from New Delhi.
Namaste, Nilima.
Namaste, Swamiji. What does it really mean? She is the intrinsic nature of songs of prayer.
All songs of prayer are concentrated vibrations, which are energies directed in the greatest humility and respect to propitiate the deity to come into our lives and improve our lives. And she is the intrinsic nature of all the vibrations of all those songs of prayer. And that's why we celebrate her in that way.
Question from Randy. Why do Vishnu and Kali rest on snakes?
Because the snake is all energy, and all energy is subservient or the support of Vishnu and Kali. Vishnu has his Maya, he's Mayapati, he's the holder of the Lord of Maya, so he rests on the snake, and that means the snake is without energy at that time. And Kali also rests on the snake because Krishna and Kali are one and the same.
Swamiji, question from Vishweshwar from Napa.
Namaste, Vishweshwar.
I just heard that she is the three gunas. Is that so? Please expound.
Absolutely, she is Sattva, Raja, and Tama guna. She is Triguna Atit as well. She is beyond the three gunas. She is Nirakar, without form, and Sakar, with form. So, as without form, she is beyond the three gunas, and with form, she embodies the three gunas.
Vishweshwar is asking, please explain, Swamiji, why we worship different gods or goddesses at different times of the year. What is the correlation between a particular time of the year and a particular deity? What is the best time of the day and year to worship Kali? Thank you.
Well, you have a number of issues you raise in that question, Vish. So let me begin with suggesting that astrologically certain energies are more potent in our lives and are more useful in our lives according to the turn of the seasons. So therefore, at specific times we're requested to worship specific deities, and they have a time of astrological configuration where their energies are most predominant and most prevalent, so they are most easily to approach. They're most easily invoked, and most easily do they come and grant the fruit that the worshiper seeks. Now, why do we worship Kali? The best time to worship Kali is all the time. We worship Kali every day when we perform the cosmic puja. She is the deity of the Samadhi Upasana. We worship Kali every time we recite the Chandi. We begin with the story of Mahakali in chapter 1. So now, what are the special times to worship Kali? There are many special occasions, but Kali Chaturdasi, the day before Diwali, is the most powerful of all the Kali pujas because Kali takes away the darkness, and Diwali, which follows on the next morning, is the celebration of light. There are many other days to worship Kali. If you would please look at our website, under festivals you will see the special Kali pujas, and if you also look under the weekly sadhana, then you'll find which deities are special to be propitiated on which days.
Vish is asking another question.
Oh my goodness.
Please expound upon the use of intoxicating spirits as a tool to increase or enhance our sadhana. Is there value or not?
There may be value in using some intoxicants and some circumstances. But generally speaking, we were referring to the intoxication of pure devotion. The nectar of pure devotion is the intoxicant with which she gets stung. She gets high when devotees are tripping on devotion. They're just so focused and so devoted that they can't think of anything else but her. That's her intoxication. Now, there are some circumstances when you have an asan, you have asan siddhi. Then if that means that you can recite the entire Chandi Path from cover to cover in one asan, and you can sit at least 4 hours in one asan without moving. This is what we call asan siddhi. Now, to go from 4 hours to 8 hours, there may be occasions under the direction of your guru where you might take a little bit of some substance. In my situation, we used bhang. You can't smoke, because if you smoke, you're decreasing your lung capacity. But you can eat a little bit of bhang and it will desensitize your legs so that when you get to 4 hours, you're not saying, okay, it's time to quit. And that's the reason we would use it. And when we get to the back to the appendix of the book, at the end of the Sahasranam, the 1,000 names, we will be talking about the mantras for the preparation and offering of bhang and alcohol.
Swamiji, question from Nanda from San Jose.
Namaste, Nandama.
Namaste, Swamiji. Sometimes we know of a certain action we need to take, but don't take out of inertia, fear, etc. Does prayer, without taking the necessary action, help in such a situation?
Absolutely, prayer helps in every situation. But it doesn't accomplish the task completely until you act. What prayer will do will remove the fear, it may remove the inertia, it will put you in a harmony and a balance, and put you in relationship with God so that you are empowered to perform the necessary action, that which you know needs to be done. We can proceed. We have a few more names. On verse 50, she who wears a garment of tiger skin, she who moves with the speed of a deer, she who rides upon a lion, she who is the beloved goddess, she who is a great goddess, she who is rays of light, she who illuminates all wisdom, she who is a young girl, she who is a middle-aged lady, she who is an old lady, she who is the mother of the aged, she who is beyond age, she who has an excellent forehead. We already did those. Excuse me, we were on verse 61. That's name number 494. She who is the expression of all that is done, she who is the doer or the cause of all doing, she who is that which is done, she who is the same as the place where there is no war. She who is the excellent mantra which takes away the mind, she who is the energy of all mantras, she who is perfect, she who is always happy, she who is the destroyer of all imperfections. She who is the mother of the three worlds, she who is oldest, she who is the intrinsic nature of Vedic knowledge. She who is the fire of all digestion, she who wears a garland of dried limbs, she who is the heart of Mathura and Avadh, and Avadh is the name of Ayodhya, the birthplaces of Krishna and Ram, so she comes as Radha and Sita. She who brings the winds of forgiveness to the three worlds. She who is the image of the manifest and the unmanifested soul. She whose sound is extremely loud, she who is the welfare of all, she who is the cause of peace, and she who is the ignorance of all, she who is the rising light of all, she whose heart is very soft, she who is the great light, then she who enjoys non-duality, she who is worthy of worship, she who is young, she who is all welfare, she who is the cause of all love, she who is enjoyed, she who supports all, she who is sits upon a deer, she who is fearful, she who takes away all sins and confusion, she who is without fault, she who controls, she who is hope, she who is thirst, she who is the digit of the moon, the attribute of devotion. She who is the energy of the ruler of the pure, she who moves with the freedom of emancipation, she whose illumination is like 1,000 suns, she whose illumination is like 10 million moons, hands. She who dissolves self-deprecation and self-conceit. She who is the destroyer of the seed of desire. She who dissolves too much and too little, and she who is the destroyer of the great ego. She who is situated in the middle of the circle of fire. She who establishes all truth. She who is the spirit of all that does not move. She who is the supreme goddess of all divine females. She who is the daughter of ability. She who is the destroyer of the sacrifice of ability. She who is the reliever of difficulties, who takes us across the ocean of objects and relationships. She who is desired, she who is worthy of worship, she who manifests the greatest fears, she who is true fame, she who has the capacity of form of supreme divinity. She who is the beautiful one residing in the thighs, Urvashi. Uru nivash kore iti urvasi. She who manifests the four of creation, that's Chatur Bharga, or Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. She who is victory, she who is compassionate, she who is the new moon. She who reflects the mind, she who is mother of gods, she who is worthy of welfare, she who moves in the supreme consciousness, she who is the giver of perfection, she who is the giver of change or modification, she who is change or modification, she who is foremost of all, she who is before all, she who is the giver of all. She who is the intrinsic nature of that which does not end. She who is meditated upon. She who resides in the Muladhara Chakra. She who orders creation. She who is primordial wisdom. She who is full and complete mind. She who is the complete collection of the face of the moon. She who charms everyone with her speech. She whose navel is indented. She who has found truth. She who is determined in her vow. She who embodies all spiritual knowledge. She who is the punishment by which discipline is prescribed. She who is the three. She who is the beauty of the three divinities. She who burns. She who causes to burn. She who is the daughter of the mountain. She who resides in the mountains of knowledge that breed humility. She who sees all concepts, she whose spirit soars, she who is determination, she who is beyond, she who is the highest expression of purity. She who is confident, she who is the reflection of the cause of equilibrium, she who is the radiance of the moon. She who has subtle radiance, she who is devotion, she who is perfection, she who is always beloved, she who is the foremost of all desires. She who is the mother, who is the jewel of the earth, she who is the perfection of all desires, she who is the supreme controller, and she who resides above all that is desired. She who is extremely small, and again, she who is the wisdom of the three. And she who is the illuminator of the three. She who is the supreme ruler of manifested existence. She who takes away thought. She who is consciousness, she who is divine, she who holds aloft all goddesses, she who exemplifies beauty of the mind, she who is a subtle avenue by which energy flows, she who is like a cow, a giver of pure nourishment, she who has the nectar of wisdom on her tongue, she who is all nectar, she who is beauty, she who is the spirit of union within the Shushumna. She who wears an excellent scent. She who is at the end of all hell. She who belongs to the five. Draupadi married the five Pandava brothers, but this is all the fives. It could be Draupadi, who belongs to the five, or it could be she who belongs to all the fives. The five Gyanendriyas, the five Karmendriyas, the five Tanmatras, the five Mahabhutas. She who is the jewel of all circumstances, the wife of Krishna, Rukmini. She who is the beloved of Krishna, she who supports consciousness in the subtle body. She who causes consciousness in the subtle body. She who is the mother of illumination, and she who is the beloved of Krishna. She is the cause of illumination of consciousness in the subtle body. She who is the nectar of immortality. She who is the basil plant. She who is the giver of change. She who constricts. She who is the supreme ruler of all fraudulent beings. My Ishta Devi. Kapteshwari. Whoever is a fraud or deceitful, she rules them too. She who is the ruler of fearful passion. She who is the mother of all heroes and warriors. She who is the beautiful of all warriors. She whose illumination is fearful. She who is the light in the eyes of Yashoda. She who is the mother of Krishna. And Krishna was the child of Yashoda, and she was the light in his eyes. She who is the mother of Krishna. She who causes divinity to manifest. She who is obeyed by the gods. She who is formless consciousness. She who is the goddess. She who is angry. She who is the light of excellence. She who is the supreme ruler of vibrations of excellence. She who radiates. She who is the mother of the form of letters. She who manifests what you value. She who is what you value. She who is the supreme ruler of union. She who is the great destroyer. She who comes in the form of a bee. She who is the intrinsic nature of the form of knowledge. We have 10 more. She who is ambassador. She who is the supreme ruler of life. She who is hidden. She who is everywhere. She who plays the Damaru drum. She who is radiant light. She who is hunchbacked or crippled. She who is manifested wisdom. She who is the oldest. She who holds the sling. She who manifests without doing. She who manifests wealth. She who is secretive. She who is the supreme measurement of consciousness. She who is the supreme ruler of the seed of desire. She who is the beloved. She who nourishes with vegetables. She who engenders the seed. She who is consistently excellent like a stone fixed in excellence. And she who is excellent purity. She who manifests unsurpassed grace. She who is spinning in the attachment for the loss of wealth. She who is the conveyance for the offering of blessings. She who is the beloved. She who is the mother of circumstances. She who makes the body free from sin. She who is heat and light. She who is the cause of heat and light. She who is the universe. She who is the giver of enjoyment. She who is the supporter of enjoyment. She who has 3 parts. She who manifests wisdom. She who is controlled. She who is all. She who is the intrinsic nature of the universe. She who is the form of a seed. She who is the great configuration of the cosmos. She who controls. She who is the intrinsic nature of union. She who is the flower of infinity. She who wears the girdle of infinity. She who is the intrinsic nature of infinity. She who is the intoxication of infinity. She who is the limit of infinity. She who is the supreme ruler of the goat of infinity. She who is the gardener who cultivates infinity. And his name is Ananga. It's also a name for love. He's Ananga. He has no body. He has no body because Shiva burned him to ashes. Remember in the Swami Purana, Shiva's light came out of his third eye and burnt love into ashes, and he became Ananga, the most powerful among the gods but invisible. So he's infinite and he's love. She who is the supreme ruler of all desire. She who performs discipline for all objectives. She who is the expression of all applications of spiritual knowledge. She who is the intrinsic nature of the intoxicating light of infinite love, Vishweshwar. She's got intoxicating light of infinite love. It's not a substance. She who is the supreme ruler of lightning, and she who is mother. She who dissolves all pain into the infinite. She who is a young lady with 6 limbs. She who is united in union. She who is the cultivator of radiance. She is who resides in the distance. She who is a difficult ideal to attain. She who gives knowledge that is difficult to attain. She who is the intrinsic nature of the reliever of difficulties. She who is the end of distance. She who takes away evil action. She who is knowledge that is difficult to attain. She who is the mother of all difficult action. She who is the supreme ruler of laughter. She who resides in a triangle, kamkla, all the threes, the equilateral triangle, trikonastha. She who is the feeling of nourishment from vegetables and produce of the earth. Om. Om Stam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste.